Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a look at the brand new Tformers Collaborative with J Balvin. This is the Decepticon J Balvintron. Now, you guys all know J Balvin, right? I mean, come on, you know him, right? Hit reggaeton artist, beloved worldwide. Yeah, I don't know who J Balvin is. I'm sorry. I really don't. It's not to be like condescending or mean. I'm sure he's great, but like I literally had never heard of him until this crossover was announced. So I don't have any emotional attachment to this. Honestly, it's out of sheer morbid curiosity and a desire to, be a completionist when it comes to the collaborative stuff that I ended up picking this up. And this toy was interesting because instead of being sold at like Walmart or Pulse or something, it was available on the online shopping app NTWRK. You can see it right here. And I also had never heard of NTWRK prior to this coming out. So a lot of firsts here, but it is a really interesting little toy. It's a full recolor of Soundwave in very vibrant colors, which are all a tribute to the imagery used in a lot of J Balvin's promotional art. And it also comes with some extra blast effects and the rifle from the Siege Jetfire toy. So interesting little package. He also comes with new versions of Buzzsaw and Stripes as cassettes, known now as Energia Buzzsaw and Vibras Stripes. So quite a bit going on with this little package, and I'm pretty excited to open up and just see what kind of quirky weirdness that we get to unbox today. That being said, if you've seen my reviews before, you know this goes. We're going to take a look at the toy's packaging, then we're going to open it up, we'll check out any instructions, anything else that might come with this toy. I'm not really sure what's in there. And then we'll see the figures themselves in both their alternate and robot modes. Naturally, I'll be doing plenty of group shots and comparisons with these toys today. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So J Balvintron comes in this very unique packaging. In all honesty, it reminds me of a cereal box. It really is shaped just like a cereal box. I don't know if that's intentional or if that's just the way it worked out. But you can see you got the smiley face with like the electric lightning bolts for the eyes, which is J Balvin's, I don't know if you call it like his official mascot or just official logo. You see his name written in a very stylized manner here. You get your crossover logo here with the half the X being in rainbow colors, which as far as I know is not a pride thing. I think that's just part of J Balvin's like stylings. I'm not sure. Again, I don't really know much about it. Maybe it is a pride thing. You can see you got his little smiley face on one side, Autobot logo on the other, Tformers, NTWRK logo. Here got the names of the toys again, J Balvintron, Energia Buzzsaw, and Vibras Stripes. I love saying that, Vibras. Vibras. All right. On the top, you get like your classic G1 Tformers logo, which is fitting since this is a recolor of a G1 toy. Here you get a bit of a wraparound of the smiley face, nice cartoony looking Decepticon logo, and a battery symbol, like something you would see on your cell phone. Here you just get a lightning bolt, Tformers Authentic, so you know it's a real product. And on the back, it's very plain. It's a big Decepticon symbol, J Balvintron, Buzzsaw, Stripes, J Balvin logo again. So it's a very plain, but at the same time, very decorative box, if that makes sense. Like a lot of flat colors, but they're very bright. There's a lot going on there. So it's something very different, right? It eschews like the usual very high detail clutter type artwork of most Tformers toys and keeps it very simple. So that's good, right? Different is good. So now that we've seen the outside of that, let's open it up and see everything inside. Okay, now we get our very cool instruction book here for J Balvintron, Buzzsaw and Stripes. So it's full color, which is awesome. Get this nice blue, kind of blueprint looking setup on the front with white wireframe renders. Get J Balvin's logo, crossover stuff. On the front here, it just goes straight into J Balvintron's transformation from cassette to robot. And then it shows off his cassette chest or cassette deck feature. Shows you how to open it, put a cassette bot in there. On this side, we get a little green panel that shows off how you can put all of his blast effects together, which we'll see in a moment, attaching a little rifle and have him hold it in his hand. Because even though the Soundwave mold is an old toy, its hands just happen to be 5mm ports, so are compatible with most Tformers weapons. Then this shows you how to combine the two rifles, just like you would for Jetfire, and like get the little central handle. You can't fit both like full blast effects on the two barrels of this, so they're too close together. So you can really only do the end pieces. Still looks pretty good though. And then we get the transformation for Buzzsaw and Stripes. So very cool. Lots of colors, really matches the box as far as just the nice bright primary color setup here. So I like it. Again, just like the box, it's very different, so it's pretty cool. Now we get a look at everything that comes in the box. So you can see J Balvintron himself right here in his smiley cassette deck mode. You get the two rifles, you get your two very rainbow fire blast effects. The bluish color is a lot darker than I would have liked. Looks more gray than anything. Definitely looked more vibrant in the promotional material. And then over here you get your cassettes, Buzzsaw and Stripes. You can see Buzzsaw has very nice silver chrome accessories here, and then Stripes kind of orange gold accessories. So this is a pretty full package, and while I'm not crazy about the price, because this was like $60 or $70, somewhere in that neighborhood, it actually lines up with the recent Soundwave reissue, because Soundwave just came with himself, his normal accessories, and Buzzsaw, and that was it. Here you get a bit more. You get a whole extra cassette, and you do get these new weapons. Now they are in place of Soundwave's normal weapons. This toy does not come with the batteries that turn into the shoulder cannon or the little rifle or anything. So it is a trade-off, but there's probably more budget invested in these pieces than there are the classic Soundwave weapons. So while it may not add up to be, exactly equivalent to the Soundwave reissue as far as, what you get versus the price, it's not too far off. Like when you consider everything, you consider what this mold normally goes for, even though I think that's too much already. It's not outside of, what would be reasonable for Hasbro stuff. Now don't get me wrong, I would love to see this thing about $20 cheaper, but it's not the most overpriced thing. Not like, say, the recent Jurassic Park crossover, which we just reviewed before this. So that thing was $100 for a leader and a deluxe. So, yeah. All right, now let's get a close-up look at J Balvintron's cassette deck mode. You can see here, it comes with everything you'd expect for a cassette-based Soundwave toy. Of course, it's done up in very different colors. All the main plastic here is a nice vibrant yellow. Blue where the forearms go. Still has die-cast feet, though they're oddly very tarnished looking. I don't know why. There's no chroming to them. They look kind of like metal hardware, like bolts I would use at work or something. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it's supposed to look that way, but it is an odd choice, especially considering like the eject button and the little play and rewind buttons and all that are all chromed out. The dial does spin freely, which is nice, so it doesn't do anything. And then your little switch does move up and down still, though again, doesn't do anything, but is nicely chromed. And yeah, just nice little cassette player. Now, this toy appears to be based most directly on the recent vintage reissue Soundwave version of the mold. And the biggest ways to tell are the die-cast metal feet here and the type of buttons used, where they're not individual buttons and they're raised out pretty far, just like they're in the vintage Soundwave, and we'll see him in a moment. And he has like the same cassette, like chest or cassette door, so yeah, it would make sense, right? That was the most recent one to be released, so they have that version on hand. It really would explain the choice of mold for this crossover, because it's readily available. And, it looks cool. It's something different. Definitely looks like a product of the late 80s, early 90s, where I can picture like a teenager having this thing, putting, stickers on it, little lightning strikes, and a big smile and a little happy face there. I mean, really just has this nice, vibrant, very youthful feel to it. Now our cassette door does work very nicely. You just hit your eject button there, pops open, and see, really nice sculpted detail, as always. But you can take either of your cassettes, or really any G1 cassette, whether it's Decepticon, Autobot, doesn't matter. You can take it, slide it right in here, make sure it goes in all the way, and close it up. And it fills it in a little bit. I think that the Buzzsaw looks best in here. It's got a nice white contrast against all the yellow and has some very visible markings, which we'll see more in depth there. We get your lightning bolts and it says Energia there. Energia. It's been a long time since my Spanish lessons of you were. You can go ahead and see how Stripes looks in here too if you want to. Doesn't look bad, but not nearly as good as Buzzsaw. If you're going to store a cassette in this guy, I would definitely store Buzzsaw in there. Looks way, way better. Now for our first comparison, we get J Balvintron here with the original Soundwave, or more specifically, the vintage reissue that just came out in the last year or so. And then we get the eHobby exclusive Shattered Glass Soundwave. So they're all based on the original 80s toy. The Shattered Glass one is a bit different here because you can see, based on the different tape door and how much thicker it is, that this guy's actually based on the Sound Blaster version of the mold that came out in the Headmaster series. Just pretty much the same toy, but it was given a much deeper chest cavity to allow 2 cassettes to be stored instead of the usual 1. Which on the one hand means it has a little bit more play value because you can interact with 2 cassettes at once, but on the other, it's a little less authentic to the original toy. But at the time this was made, the Sound Blaster version was just what was most commonly available, so that's what they went with there. They do all have actual die-cast feet, though, so that's nice. Even the Hobby one has die-cast. And again, they're all just very, very different looking. The original Soundwave is probably the most realistic looking. It's just a bit more muted and looks like an 80s tape player. The Shattered Glass one is just more brightly colored and doesn't really look outside the realm of realism, but it's not really a color scheme you would probably see nearly as often. And just like J Balvintron here, he also looks like he's been stickered up by his owner, who's probably some sort of teenager or maybe just old, past his prime rock and roller, living his glory days. Okay, now we get Buzzsaw and Stripes up close. All right, now we get a close-up look at Buzzsaw and Stripes. And in this mode, we're going to focus mainly on your cassette sticker details. I think Buzzsaw is the most interesting. He gets all this nice chromed sticker detailing. Gets the lightning bolts. Still gets your normal, like, inner tape spools. And then he gets the Energia or Energia, little write-up here. Kind of looks like there's oh no, that's the E. It just looks like a Sigma. That's pretty cool. I dig that. Oh yeah, and one of the eyes of the lightning bolt. So yeah, very decorative. Stripes is much more plain looking. He's basically just orange. You do get some of the cat head detailing shining through just because it has nowhere else to hide. Oops. And then oddly enough, you get like googly eyes and a little toothy mouth here. I mean, kind of looks like something out of a horror movie. It's a weird choice. I'm not sure why they went with that specifically. It looks like a cassette that like a kindergartner has, like especially down to the bright orange. Strange choice and way less decorative than Buzzsaw. Also, fun fact, while doing a little bit of research for this review, the 2 prefixes for these guys' names, so your Energia and Vibras, they're actually titles of 2 of J Balvin's albums. So that makes a lot of sense. Again, I didn't know that because I'm new to the guy. But yeah, it really makes sense when you think about it because you could conceivably have those albums on cassettes, right? So I guess the idea is that these 2, while Tformers, will play their respective albums that they're named after. So it's a neat touch. I dig that. And if you are a fan of J Balvin, you're probably really excited about that fact. Now I want to do a quick comparison with the progenitors of these 2 molds. You have the Generation 1 Buzzsaw and Generation 1 Ravage, who Stripes was a recolor of. Now sadly I don't have the original G1 Stripes toy because he was only sold with the Japanese toy Twincast, and the G1 version of that character has never been released since. Like, we got a Titan's Return version, which was a very different toy, and then we got a Masterpiece version, but that was part of like a really expensive pack of cassette guys for like $100, and I couldn't bring myself to buy it at the time. So we're gonna have to stick with Ravage as a comparison. But you can see the sticker details for the cassette side are just night and day different, right? They're much more just plain and realistic looking on your older toys, and then much more stylized and customized on your new ones. Speaking of Twincast, it actually kind of baffles me that we recently, in the last few years, got a reissue Soundwave and a reissue Blaster, and they have not decided to go the easy money route and give us reissues of Twincast and Sound Blaster. I mean, they have the molds. Granted, Sound Blaster will have to use the modified version with the bigger chest, but I'm sure they have that sitting around still. They've had that mold for years. I'm really shocked that we didn't get those. Now, the Sound Blaster, I mean, that character kind of gets done to death, but this would be cool because it would be the first, like, G1 Sound Blaster you've been able to get for a while. But Twincast, we haven't had a proper Twincast since the original. Like, they never did it for Titan's Return or Fall of Seibertron or any of that, so I was really hoping for a reissue Twincast because I always wanted that character, and it would have been cool if he actually came with the stripes. But alas, it does appear that the G1 reissues are behind us for now. There don't seem to be any plans in the future for those. So we're just going to have to go without Twincast for another decade or so. Now we get to see Buzzsaw and Stripes in their, well, beast modes, I guess, not really robot modes. Buzzsaw, by far, looks the most different from his original form. Stripes, interestingly, and again, I don't have the original to show you, in this mode, like on this side that has the tiger details instead of the cassette details, he's nearly identical to the original toy. Like, all the details here, the way the stripes are laid out and everything, are like exactly the same. The only real difference here is he does use a darker metal color for the legs, and he doesn't have the little Autobot rub sign. So that makes sense because none of the three characters are actually branded an Autobot or Decepticon on their toys. Now, overall, J Balvintron is apparently called a Decepticon per like the box and the instructions, but none of them actually wear their faction symbols anywhere. So that kind of makes sense. They probably didn't want to make it confusing where like part of the guys here are good and part are bad. They just kind of left it, ambiguous. So yeah, really small differences on the tiger body itself. And then the big difference here, and you may not be aware of it if you're not used to the original Stripes toy, is you can see he's using gold versions of Ravage's little hip blasters. Now the color is more or less right, it's a gold color, but the original Stripes actually came with gold versions of the Autobot cassette Steeljaws hip-mounted blasters. And they were very different looking, more flat, but much more winged. They had like big vertical kind of wing details that shot upward. I'm guessing that the only reason for the change is just mold availability, right? They just did a Ravage here in the last couple of years, so they have those, blasters. It was probably just very easy for them to reuse that rather than either try to track down or recreate the ones that came with Steeljaw. Those might be lost to time, and it's very expensive to reverse engineer or refurbish a mold from, something that came out 3-4 decades ago. So I'm not too surprised they made the change, but I'm a little disappointed because this guy comes so close to just being G1 Stripes. Like, if it weren't for the different blasters here and different cassette details, it'd be basically the same toy. And, it's kind of disappointing because if it was, like, if they just decided to just go all the way and make it regular Stripes, I would totally just pair him with Blaster. Like, J Balvintron already gets one cassette buddy and a very cool, very different looking one. I would love for Blaster to get more of his cassettes, because in the vintage line, the only Autobot cassettes they released were like the obscure Japanese guys, the Dino-based ones. Blaster himself doesn't come with any, and they don't release any of his classic partners, which I find so strange. Maybe it's because the cassettes didn't sell well for Soundwave. I remember them, peg warming pretty hard. But I do really think that's unfortunate that we did get a Blaster update and no cassettes to go with them. No E-Jack, no Ram Horn, none of that. So, would have been nice to have another, Autobot partner to pair with him, but oh well. It's so close, yet not quite where it needs to be. Now here are G1 Buzzsaw and Ravage again, for another comparison. And mold-wise, they appear to be exactly the same. I'm pretty sure both of these were just from the same molds used for our vintage reissues here. And I gotta say, I really like these significant changes made for Buzzsaw to help him look like really a different character. You could even maybe headcanon him as like Shattered Glass Buzzsaw. Because often Shattered Glass toys' color schemes are like inversions of their regular G1 counterparts. So I could see that, kind of like how Shattered Glass Ravage was white. Their little jetpack pieces appear to be the exact same shade of chrome silver, so they didn't feel the need to change that at all. But I like it. It's a very clean chrome look. It's very shiny and very nice looking, and contrasts well to either the black or the white, so I'm okay with them not changing that. Stripes is a little harder to compare to Ravage because they're not meant to be the same character. Yeah, like they have the same body type, but one's a tiger, one's a most people consider a jaguar. So any of the changes between them are really more so because they are actually different characters. Like I said, this guy looks almost exactly like the regular version of Stripes. So yeah, harder to say. I do think the gold hip blasters work better for Stripes because it does match his orange a little better. And I think the silver works better for Ravage. So there's not really one that's better or worse than the other. They're just each doing their own thing very well. All right, now we finally get to see J Balvintron in his robot mode. And what's great is as you transform him and unfold him, a lot of his cassette deck details kind of peel away and then new robot mode details become more apparent. So the chest window is still the same. We get these really nice like battery power stickers on the shoulders that look like a little symbol for your battery life on your cell phone. Get the little lightning bolts here on the knees. You get these cool little tech details kind of lower on like the upper shin area. And you get stripes around his wrists, kind of like a regular Soundwave there. And then the head has quite a bit of paint on it. The mouth plate and surrounding little curves here are painted silver. It's got red eyes. And then his hair is done up in rainbow colors. And actually, kind of a Freudian slip, I call it his hair. It's his, helmet crest. But it is designed to look like J Balvin's hair. Apparently, he sometimes or all the times dyes his hair like rainbow colors. So that's a neat little Easter egg that they included there. They made J Balvintron look a bit like his namesake. So it's not totally unexpected when you consider that all the other crossover toys so far have had head sculpts that are reminiscent of some character from the brand that they're crossing over with. So I do like that they kept that going here, despite the fact that, unlike all the other crossover toys so far, this guy is not a new mold or, heavy retool of an existing mold. He's a G1 toy, but they still managed to find a way to, give him some resemblance to whatever he's representing. Now, when it comes to those two rifles, you get them right here. And again, they're the same ones that come with the Commander Class Jetfire. They're molded in purple with gray plastic handles and silver painted muzzles. So that's pretty neat. So you can have him dual wield these. Just put one in each hand, which is kind of my preference for this guy, but you do whatever makes you happy. So you can dual wield him like that. And like this, he doesn't have too hard of a time like holding them up or standing up. However, once you start attaching these big old honking blast effects, it becomes a bit of an issue. I'll show you. I'm pushing his fist in. Don't want to do that. This one needs to come out more too. Alright, so we got the blast effects on there. They look really cool, right? They're very brightly colored, very rainbow-like. But now he wants to fall forward because they make him incredibly front-heavy. And it creates a bit of an issue because you could, kind of point them down at the ground and give him some frontal support. However, what you're doing now is you're putting weight on the blast effects, and they're going to bend over time. Like, just from the weight, from gravity, the fact that they're very, very soft and, like, rubbery, they're going to bend. So not only is that bad because you're going to end up with bent blast effects, but they'll probably eventually just bend so much that he'll lean forward so far and still fall over. So, not a really great solution. And it's really unfortunate because there aren't many ways you can pose this guy in which these aren't causing a problem. He's just not strong enough to support all that weight. The toy wasn't meant for that, right? Soundwave normally has very small accessories by comparison to this. So keep that in mind. You're going to have a very hard time posing this guy fully decked out with the weapons and the blast effects and all that. But if you're okay with that, let's move on here. We'll combine the rifles. So you want to remove the blast effects because they're not going to fit once these go together. You're going to flip your pegs. Now this one will have one go in and one come out. This one just goes in. You attach them side by side. Now you have one big double-barreled cannon with a handle in the middle. And he can wield this in either hand, which does look pretty cool. Kind of looks like a bazooka, given the large size compared to him. You could also, if you really want to, attach it here in his shoulder cannon slot, like Soundwave gets, but it doesn't fit very well, and it just kind of flops and spins freely. It's really not meant to go in there. So you can do it, but it's probably not going to look great, unless the tolerances on your copy are that much different from mine. This looks pretty neat, though, and you can, if you want, take the end pieces of his blast effects, stick them in the barrels, and they shouldn't make him quite as front heavy as the whole thing, but you're probably still going to have some balancing issues. Like, he still really, really wants to lean forward. Yeah, I don't trust this. He's standing now, but I think over time, or given a little bit of shaking in my house, he'll probably just flop over. Plus, these end pieces, they don't fit into these barrels very well. They're very loose, so they kind of sag. So there are a lot of issues with the execution, and I'm really surprised this wasn't, caught when they did their initial test shots or whatever, or test copies. Like, they didn't realize that the guns were going to be way too heavy for the Soundwave mold. That's kind of weird, I like that they were going for something new, and I like that they were giving us something kind of flashy and cool. But I don't know if they really gave enough thought to just how well he's going to hold these, because he doesn't hold it well. Not with the blast effects, anyway. Without them, this is fine. He'll probably stay standing like this. More so if you kind of aim it down more, move the center of gravity, or if you make the barrels touch the ground, then he'll really stay standing. It's a little disappointing, but as cool as the blast effects are, I wouldn't really recommend using them when posing this guy, because he's probably not going to stay up. And that's unfortunate, but it's the reality of this toy. Right now we get another comparison shot with the sound waves in the robot modes. So again, G1 here, Shatterglass there. And just like with the cassette modes, they're each just doing their own thing. Now the sticker details between the two sound waves are much more similar than they are to J Balvintron. However, you'll notice there actually are quite a bit of similarities. The upper shin stickers are actually nearly the same, aside from the specific colors used. One minor difference, which is interesting, each shin has this little set of 3 squares and a bar right here. And on the two sound waves, the leftmost square is red. On J Balvintron, it's red here, but then on the other leg, actually move the red square to the rightmost one. Very minor detail, and it's not that they flipped the sticker, right? Because your bar is on the right side of the sticker on all these. They just changed it for some reason. It's very interesting. Then the knees are very closely the same, but you'll notice that instead of triangles, he gets his lightning bolts. So again, another small detail, but it's actually kind of cool how it's the same, but with minor changes. And the shoulders are the same way. You get this nice angular shape here, and you get kind of like your little bars with some arrows. And then on J Balvintron, you get your battery symbols. So I actually like that. I like that it's kind of a play on Soundwave's design. Like if Soundwave just had an eccentric reggaeton singing cousin or something. So I like it. I think it works out pretty well and helps make him different, but also familiar. Again, I mentioned his feet in the cassette mode, but you can see here, they're very tarnished looking, almost kind of corroded looking compared to the Soundwave feet. That could just be the way the metal normally looks. You'll notice that they have kind of a thin layer of black paint on the feet of the two Soundwaves. This might be more of a dark gray, but it's painted. His is unpainted, so that may just be how that die-cast metal just naturally looks, and I never noticed because it's normally painted. So, I don't know, weird choice to leave it like that, though, because it's probably the biggest eyesore on this toy, because everything else is so bright and flashing, and you just get this very dull metal. I almost would have preferred if they just made it out of plastic. Like, yeah, everyone likes the die-cast, but if they're not going to make the die-cast look good, just mold it in plastic and give it a nice bright color, too. It's a weird choice. But I do like all these guys, each in their own right. You get your classic Soundwave in his very toy-accurate colors. You get his very brightly colored negative universe counterpart, which, according to some leaks or rumors, we are getting a new Shatterglass Soundwave as kind of like a second wave of that new Shatterglass subline, because the subline apparently did well enough. Not sure how it's going to work. It'll probably be a recolor of the Netflix Soundwave, but I really hope they give him his bandana. Like, that's pretty iconic. And I really hope they don't make it out of paper this time like this one. Like, this is a sticker that you just kind of fold on itself. Not great for longevity. Like, it works, but I hope they do like a plastic or rubber bandana this time. I am looking forward to that because I would like a more modern, more articulated Shatterglass Soundwave to go with, you know, the new Megatron and Starscream and all that. Looking forward to it, but let's stay on topic here. I don't really have a favorite out of these three. As I said, they're each just doing their own thing, and I think they all look very good doing it. And this is going to complete our look at the new J Balvintron with Energia Buzzsaw and Vibras stripes. You can see here I attached the blast effects to the back of Soundwave shoulders, or sorry, J Balvintron shoulders. Kind of silly, but also kind of makes it look like he's boosting forward or running, and is much more tip-over friendly than any of the other alternatives. Yeah, take it or leave it. If you think it looks cool, do it. If you think it looks silly, don't do it. So, yeah, overall, I really like the set. I think it's just one of the coolest, quirkiest things we've received in a while. Again, I wish I knew more about J Balvintron. I feel bad that I don't. But I do think his style lends itself well to this as just setting it apart from the other crossovers. Something a little less serious, just a little more fun and lighthearted. And it is very interesting that they actually used the G1 molds, right? They could have gone with like Siege or Netflix ones, right? We do have a Soundwave and a Ravage mold and a Laserbeak / Buzzsaw mold. They could have gone with that, but they chose to do the originals. I don't know why. Could be that J Balvin's a huge fan of the 80s toys. Maybe Soundwave was his favorite toy or something. That might make sense, right? It has sentimental value. I don't know personally. I don't know if I ever will. But I think it works, right? Because the Soundwave toy and, you know, especially his cassettes, they're so fondly remembered because they're just so awesome. Like, they work well even amongst modern toys. Now, they may lack some posability and everything, but they still have just very nice looking modes in both their alt mode, robot or beast mode. So it really works. I love the cool little touches they put, the smiley faces, the lightning bolts, the fake hair on J Balvintron. I love the changes made to Buzzsaw. I think he looks really, really cool like this. I love the white, very different looking. The stripes, again, I wish he didn't look so much like the regular stripes, or I wish he looked more like the regular stripes. Like, I really would have preferred something that was just very, very different and unique, like the Balvintron and Buzzsaw, or something that just is G1 stripes that you can just repurpose and, you know, put there with your blaster if you want to. So I'm a little disappointed with him. I also think his cassette details are just kind of plain and boring. Like, it's one little pair of like eyes and then like a little mouth off to the side. It's weird, not as appealing, but it doesn't take too much away. It's just not really my taste. Is this toy worth the price? I don't like the price because, you know, I think it's a bit much for such old toys, but it is in line with how much the reissues cost. So if you thought the reissues were fair and you thought like a $50 Soundwave was okay, you probably won't mind paying like the $60 to $70 for these guys, because it does come with more than the regular Soundwave, you know, and Buzzsaw set. So if you think it's cool and you don't mind dropping the money, go ahead, pick it up. I think you have some fun with it. It's always a great mold. You get to try them out with some new weapons for a change. You get the really cool rainbow blast effects, which, even though they don't work very well for Balvintron, you can just use them on one of your other, you know, War for Seibertron or later toys. I mean, they'll work for anything. So if you want to have a character that's just having rainbow explosions somewhere, you know, knock yourself out. They'll be good for that. More fire blasts are always more fun. So yeah, I recommend it if you have the money and if you think it's worth it. Of course, that's just my opinion here on these toys. Now I want to know what you all think. Do you think this set is worth the cost of admission? Do you like what we get? Are you a fan of J Balvin? Maybe you are. Personally, it's just he hasn't really come under my radar. Or do you not know who he is and you're just kind of too apathetic to a J Balvin crossover? Any and all feedback's always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the new Transformers crossover with J Balvin, the Decepticon J Balvintron with Energia Buzzsaw and Vibras stripes. And with all that said, I will see you next time.